Welcome to another episode of the Global Passport Investor. I'm your host, Eric Major, Chairman and CEO of Latitude World, where our clients expect the world and we deliver it. So 2025 is now behind us. It was a really interesting year with a lot of developments on the policy side of things. We won't get into that. It's already history. I want to look forward. And I was looking at my crystal ball this morning. It was a little bit foggy, but I have a few suggestions and commentary that I'd like to share with our audience, noting that I think we're going to be entering a very, very exciting 2026 with new additions and newcomers to the fray, but also reinforcing old players who are just getting better at their offerings and what they're proposing to our clients. So let me start in terms of presenting this within the two main segments of what's available in the marketplace. In the investment migration world, we speak of residency by investment and citizenship by investment. Fine. Residency by investment, I'd like to break it down to two further buckets. There are offerings that I think are going to be very popular in 2026 that offer a European proposition, and I'm going to focus on those programs that give permanent residency, because if I was an American looking at these kind of solutions, temporary is often the way to get you going and spending some time there if that's your interest. But if you're not able to dedicate that time allocation, you want pathway to get you permanent residency as swiftly as possible. And I got three programs in the European continent that provides that. We'll start with Greece, always very popular with Americans. There was a great webinar on this just the other day from our team. Lots of interest from Americans are looking to not only get permanent resident status in Europe, or in Greece in this case, but also having assets abroad and diversifying their asset holdings from the United States into parts of Europe, in this case, property in Greece. Lots of different propositions and offerings there at different price points. It's a beautiful country and very popular and growingly so with Americans. So with respect to Greece, there's an array of options with the property market there being very varied with all its islands and Athens and hilltops and marina sides and beach sides, but it does start as low as 250,000 euros, and processing times we're experiencing as quick as 4 to 6 months on average. So very attractive proposition. But that leads me into another one that's no less one of my favorite places where I'm recording today, actually, is Malta. Malta has devised a really attractive permanent residence program. In fact, it's what it says on the tin. It's called the MPRP, Malta Permanent Resident Program, for which the capital outlay, all said and done, is going to be roughly, I would say, under 200,000 euros, 200,000 US, give or take, if one takes the lease option. But they do allow you to purchase property as well, which is very attractive here in terms of the upside of what the property market has yielded over the last decade. So certainly worth looking. But you can get permanent residency in about 6 to 9 months, given current inventory levels. In a country that's English-speaking, has a very interesting tax regime should you choose to establish residency. But that's the good thing about both programs. Greece and Malta doesn't compel you to any significant amount of time, in fact, 0 days. So it is that perfect plan B that provides what you would call in the United States a green card. So very attractive price point, as is Greece, that provides property. My third one, which many Americans have looked into and have maybe heard about, is Portugal's Golden Visa. And they too, let's not forget, they have a permanent resident program through its 5-year provision where you first make that investment, typically a 500,000 euro investment in an investment fund. And after that 5-year investment commitment and your 7 days a year on average, in fact, it's 14 days every 2 years, given that the visas that are granted to you are 2 years. But by that 5th year, if you gave your 35 days and if you maintain that investment, and admittedly learn a little bit of Portuguese at a B2 level, they'll make you a permanent resident. And so the question with Portugal that everyone's waiting to hear is, what will be that continued pathway to citizenship? Will it be 10 years? Will it be 7 years? Will it be 5 years? We, at this moment in time, don't know. But they do offer permanent residency, and that's my biggest advice to anyone listening. If you're going to be in the RBI European market, get yourself PR, that's Greece, Malta, or Portugal. There are other countries that offer permanent residency outside of EU. Certainly a newcomer that came with a big splash earlier this year, 2025, is New Zealand. New Zealand, well known to many Americans, is a really interesting destination, has a lot to offer, English speaking. It has a very clear and reasonable pathway to permanent residency. How do you get there? Well, you first got to commit a sizable investment, to be fair, but it is an investment. You choose carefully one of the many investment funds available, and you invest 5 million New Zealand dollars, which, based on today's currency exchange rate, is between 2.8 and 3 million US. You make that investment, you hold it there for 36 months, allowing you to get this 3-year temporary card. And then they say, well, guess what? You want to become a permanent resident? We'll make that very easy after 3 years. But 2 things you must have done. You must have maintained your investment, and you've given the country 21 days. Often done in 1 visit, but you could do it in 2, you could do it in 3. And most Americans would say, I could do that. I could do 21 days in 3 years. I can make that investment in one or many funds, and I could get my family to a permanent residency, basically a New Zealand green card, in 36 months or so. Very popular destination for sure. Another one that's non-EU that gives you permanent residency is Panama. Closer to home for many of you. Panama offers a very attractive, both friendly nation option, but frankly, the more important one is permanent residence. So that's the qualified investor visa, $300,000 US dollars in property of your choice. Lots of array of possibilities in terms of investment price points. Again, hillside, marina side, jungle, beachside city, Panama City, etc. Lots of offering there, starting at $300,000. Within, they advertise 30. Let's give it 60 days. You get that permanent resident card. That's what we're offering all our Americans to consider. If you want non-EU, it's Panama, it's New Zealand. If you want EU, it's Greece, Malta, and Portugal, of course. Now, taking a step back, PR is great, but what's the next best thing? Citizenship, right? Citizenship is what also many of you would be looking at for you and your family. Now, citizenship, we'll start with the ones that have been around for the longest, the Caribbean, not 1, not 2, but 5, soon to be 6. We'll see if that comes through in 2026. 6 nations are expected to continue to offer citizenship by investment through a donation or a real estate investment. And what could be anywhere between a 6 to, let's call it 18-month process. There is some islands who become the victim of their success, but the point here is that you could get it with very limited physical presence or touch point, albeit that's one of the changes we're expecting in 2026, is that applicants will need to provide a certain number of days, most likely once it's granted, possibly up to a week, and then the balance of what would be the remaining 23 or more days for a total of 30 days within that 5-year period, which is the length of the initial passport. So basically they're saying, come over, do your oath of allegiance, swear your oath, give your biometrics, do your 7 days, here's your passport, and we'd like to see you come back again so that you complete that 30 days in that first 5 years. That's where that's going. Again, very accessible, very feasible for many Americans without having to pick up your bags and move there. But you get a powerful passport. I call it a B plus passport, visa-free travel to, on average, 150 to 155 countries. Not that Americans need it. They travel well with their passport, but 2 is better than 1, so get it. Price point also attractive because donations start at 250,000 with a bit of plus, but in the end you could get it all done for about 250,000 US in about 6 to 12 months on average. And if you want something that's not a donation but an asset, there's a lot of hotel resorts and investment and property opportunities that the islands are offering that allows you to actually have your piece of paradise. It's for you to enjoy. So the Caribbean's been a very popular destination for many who are looking at citizenship by investment. And like I said, there are 5 countries, soon to be 6, but the 2 that I foresee in 2026 will be still dominating both the demand and the interests of our clients. largely because of processing timeline, remains in the hands of Antigua and Barbuda and the island of Grenada. Both of them have a very good offering, have basically some of the better processing timelines in the market, and frankly are islands that most of our North American clients are familiar with and comfortable exploring a second home or a lifestyle play. Certainly both of those are my favorite in that part of the world. So there you go with the Caribbean. But some say, well, wait a minute, Eric, what happened to these European propositions? I heard that Malta no longer has a citizenship by investment. Well, you're right, they don't, nor does Cyprus, who also had one 4 or 5 years ago. So Europe is shutting its doors towards citizenship by investment. They just don't like it. We're not going to make a video about that. I've spoken about that before. But guess what? There are provisions that have been around for a long time that most countries have, including the United States, including Canada. A number of countries have these provisions that say, well, if you're an athlete at a world level or a sports person or an artist or a violinist or a scientist, there are often these countries that say we have provisions that allow you to naturalize and join our team. And you see that often in the sport realm. Well, a few countries have expanded that to include philanthropists, innovators, and entrepreneurs. Let's start with Malta, where I am. They just updated those provisions that they've had for years, since at least 2017. But in 2025, just a few months ago, they expanded that regime to allow, again, entrepreneurs, people who've done well in their various endeavors, well beyond sports and science, to consider Malta, to see what they could bring to this nation. It's called Citizenship by Merit. It's not a program. Everything is bespoke, good British word. What does it mean? Case by case. We start with the applicant. What's their profile? What's their background? What have they done in the past? What could they bring to Malta in the future? So it's both a talent transfer, training, and knowledge transfer endeavor, a bit of time as well as capital. But where's that capital go? It's very much going to be aligned towards these projects of national interest. Every country has these very important projects that are hard to achieve without talent, people, and money. And that's what Malta has created, a platform that would allow for certain projects, which in particular in Malta's case, they've devised a 2050 vision, basically a forward-thinking exercise of where they want to be in 25 years. In there, they've identified a number of sectors and areas that they want to consolidate, improve, get better at, or enter into. And that's a good indicia for us as to where we could find clients and international people who have the skill sets and experience and match them to these opportunities. Or better yet, have these Americans, in this example, come with their projects already that they have in mind that they want to bring here that meet that vision. So we're really excited about Malta's expansion of its provisions in this space. We have a great team here of over 25 now whose ability to introduce these opportunities, introduce the various stakeholders, get the necessary endorsements so that these things could be viewed favorably. But it's case by case, it's bespoke, and the starting point is you come over, make you a resident, get you accustomed to what Malta offers, and then we see what the realm of possibility is. And that makes you, if we get you to the finish line, a European national, a Maltese national with European rights of settlement. Highly valued, worth every penny. What's the other country that offers this, again, for entrepreneurs, innovators, and philanthropists? Well, Austria. Austria's been at it for quite a few decades. As long as I've been in the business, I recall them having those provisions, Article 10.6. And it's been very, well, utilized, but not in big numbers because the expectations are quite high for Austria. What they define as extraordinary merit is truly extraordinary. Not to say that there's a money side to this, there is a money side to this, but there's also a talent and a background of skill set and knowledge transfer. But the point is that one's going to be a little bit more expensive, a little bit more demanding in terms of your affiliations, a few visits. And we have a number of American clients right now who are in that process that we're looking forward to seeing to come to fruition. But the point is that both Austria and Malta have these provisions. So what's my crystal ball saying? There's still going to be those 4 buckets, those 4 segments. If it's residency in Europe, I got 3 options there, as I discussed. If it's outside of Europe, which one are the winner and that are most attractive, again, to the American market as far as we could see? Well, it's Panama and New Zealand. If you're looking for citizenship, we have obviously the Caribbean 5, soon to be 6, but really 2 that win the day in 2026, which is Antigua and Grenada. And if you want the Holy Grail, the prize European rights of settlement, 2 countries do have provisions to get you there. It's not easy. It requires the right fit and the people with the right profile. But guess what? We're the firm that could get you there. And we invite you to contact us to learn more about how we could help you achieve these goals. But 2026 is the year that many Americans are going to be looking at these solutions. Give us a call or contact us at www.latitudeworld.com. We'll be happy to walk you through the options. Thank you for listening.